Now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Bride of Dracula. The Goddess Next Door and John Haynes team up to take on the Dark Vampire in this action-packed Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Bride of Dracula in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. I was in a Facebook group a couple of months ago when the Black Lightning trailer came out, and I made the point of why it's important for there to be a black man working on black male characters. And some people disagree with me, saying that it really shouldn't matter what race the creator of that character is or the writer that works on it. But as I see it, it is very important for us to have black males working on black characters, because when it comes down to black characters, oftentimes we don't get to see a rich, multidimensional picture of them, because oftentimes we have these characters who are created by white males, and they're coming from the white male's perspective of those characters in comics. I can look at characters like your Black Lightning and your Luke Cage. They were created by white men, and we only got snippets of a picture based on the experiences of white people and their interactions with black people from those characters. We really didn't get any richness or multidimensionality. Now, when we look at the Luke Cage television show, we saw a richness and a multidimensionality that was never presented in a Power Man comic book. And that showed me the complete difference between a black creator working on a black character and a white creator working on a black character. Because when the white creators work on the black character, oftentimes we get things like stereotypes framing the character's story and the character's narrative. However, when we get the black creators working on the character, we often get a richer and broader picture of that character. And that's why I believe it's very important for us to have black men and black women working on characters in comic books, because when you have black people telling their stories, you're getting a story from their experience and from what they know about the culture, and that picture is going to be a richer picture that opens the reader up and gives them a perspective on things that they would not get from a white creator. Because I look at characters like your Luke Cage, as originally written by Tony Isabella and Black Lightning. That was interesting, but it just didn't have the depth of the first 6 episodes of the Luke Cage show. The first 6 episodes of the Luke Cage show, that was black life, that was black culture. It literally brought black culture to life on screen, and that was that richness and that depth brought to the reader. Same thing with Dwayne McDuffie, and when he was working at Milestone, he brought black culture to life in comics like Static and Icon and Hardware. We did things we did not get to see about the black experience were finally presented in between the pages of a comic, and that's what a black creator contributes to the comic book medium. And a lot of people in the comic book world don't understand the value of that, and they don't understand why it's important for there to be black creators working on characters. Now, many black people don't have a problem with white creators working on characters, and many have done a great job of it. I mean, I look at the job Marv Wolfman and George Perez did with creating Cyborg, and I look at the job that David Michelin, Bob Layton, and John Byrne did with creating Jim Rhodes. Both of those characters were a lot richer and more multidimensional than black characters in the past, and they did a very great job of showing us how a black character would work well within the Marvel and the DC universe as superheroes and supporting characters in the new Teen Titans and the Iron Man comic book. When you look at Victor Stone and you look at Jim Rhodes, you don't see a stereotype. You see a person in a story. However, you see a person, again, from a white person or a non-black person's perspective, and not a black person's perspective. And the only way we can really see the black culture and black experience is from a black writer. A black writer is going to give you a completely different picture of a black character than a white writer would. And that's something that I believe can add to the richness and diversity that we don't get in comics today. I mean, I look at Riri Williams right now being written by Brian Michael Bendis, and the character is one of the worst characters ever to grace a comic book. He's making an effort to try to create a black female heroine, but he just doesn't understand black women because he's never experienced black women. He's never interacted with black women. Really, he doesn't have a relationship with black women, and that's why the Riri Williams character is so unlikable and so flat. She's more of a Mary Sue than a rich and multidimensional person, like say a black female character I would create, like an Isis or an Eastine, which are based on black actresses like your Sally Richardson or your Tia Mowry, or people I've interactions with, because I've had interactions with a lot of women. So I can come and draw from my own life experiences, and I can draw from things that I know about black culture and black women, and I can make the black women I create a bit more multidimensional than, say, your Riri Williams, which is more of a Mary Sue, which is just Brian Bendis' ideas about black women. Whereas when I create black women, I can draw from multiple sources, including my own family, women I have worked with in the past on jobs, and women who are a part of, entertainment industry, such as your Sally Richardson Whitfield, which is one of the inspirations for Eastine, and currently Tia Mowry, who I used for Matilda Crowley and Isis in the inspirations for those characters these days. And I can draw from different parts of black culture. I can draw from black history because I've studied black history extensively, and I can incorporate that into the stories, and that can give people some perspective on things. Because whenever I read a lot of black comic books from mainstream publishers, they really don't really dig too deep into black history. And even with Milestone, they did a decent job of digging into black history with Icon, but I would like to dig a little deeper into black history. And that was one of the things I tried to do with the Isis Imitation of Life story, was really take you deep into black history by exploring what a black hero would be doing during the golden age of comic books, which was the era of the late 1930s, early 1940s. And these are stories that a lot of writers really wouldn't be able to dig deep into, because you have to be black in order to understand that, and you have to study black history from a black perspective to really understand that, and come from that perspective. Because I look at other stories like that whole Truth story with that black Captain America, and that was one of those stories that really offended me, because to me the whole idea of that really took away from what made Captain America special, and it was a really poorly crafted story as I saw it. I always saw that story as kind of weak, because I just don't want to see some black guy put in a place just to make it look like we're trying to add diversity or trying to retcon history. And for me, Captain America's origin, what made it distinct was he was one of a kind, and this story took away from that. But again, they also did not really explore black culture or the black experience. They just took pieces of things that they heard and then tried to, stick this part on there. And that's what really prevented the story from really resonating with readers. And I look at other black writers who have come in the comic book industry and they've had an impact. And I look at Christopher Priest's run on Black Panther. The reason why he was able to redefine that character, I believe, is because he was coming from from his experiences as a black man and his experiences in black culture. And that's something, again, that's why we really need black writers in comics, and especially qualified black writers in comics. Because when you have a black writer, what they're going to do is they're going to give you a perspective on things you wouldn't get from other writers. They're going to give you a story about the black experience that's completely different. Because when they look at those black characters, they're looking at them from their experiences and their perspective of the world. And when they look at other superheroes, they're looking at them from a different perspective. And that can lead to a fresh reading experience. It doesn't mean that every story is going to be about the hood or the streets, because black culture is a lot broader than that and a lot bigger than that. And that's something that I try to explore in stories that I do. I try to not just make it just about one part of it, because whenever I look at white writers, when they do somebody like a Black Lightning or a Luke Cage, they're always talking about the hood, they're always talking about the streets, and that's not all black people are. Black people are a lot bigger than that, and we really don't get to see that in between the pages of comics, because a lot of creators are coming from their experience and they're not really coming from the bigger picture. And I think a black writer who is like myself, can show you a larger picture of black culture, the black experience, and give you that bigger picture of black life. And that's something that, again, can add something to comics. And a lot of people think that what's somewhat significant about a black writer. Well, a black writer is going to take that character, and they're going to, again, give you they give you a richer picture of them. And that's why we get something great like those first 6 episodes of Luke Cage or Christopher Priest's acclaimed run on Black Panther, because they are giving us a picture of black life that is accurate, a picture that is balanced, and a picture that humanizes those characters and makes them relatable to everyone. If you want to try some of my SJS Direct Universe titles, like the ISIS series or the E-Steam series or The Temptation of John Haynes, you can click the link to the Amazon.com in the description box. And if you want to help me make more videos, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link to the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.